What a difference a day makes. Freezing cold yesterday, all day, raining, miserable, all night, freezing cold. Woke this morning, felt a bit unusually warm in the van. Opened the door, stunning day, lovely and warm. Dogs haven't come in. My dogs don't like the cold, so that's usually a good sign. So my plan today, I have a couple of things to do. I need to go to a supermarket, get milk and different things. Also, at times you get very bad internet connection. I started off using a wee device, this, and that's basically a mobile router, better known as a hotspot. So your phone has a hotspot, which means you could connect your computer, etc. to it, but they're not very strong. Hotspot picks up better, and you can add more devices, etc. Although I don't need more devices, I just need my phone and my computer. But it started to overheat within the first month of being away, and got to a point where I didn't even want to put it on. So I've decided now I'm going to go today and try and get a new one, maybe a slightly better one, definitely one that doesn't overheat. And also I have two SIM cards. One is a direct debit at home, and I get 20 gigabytes every month from it, but I would go through 20 gigabytes quite quickly, maybe in 10 days, so don't want to use it too often. It's like my backup. So every country I go to, I get a SIM card. Greece proved to be very difficult, very expensive. I'm going to go now and get a SIM card for Italy, and reading online, far better value for money apparently in Italy, we will see. So I'm going to take the dogs now down for a walk, and then my plan is I'm going to go into this town, and there's a wee electronic shop, hopefully a phone shop, hopefully I'll get everything there, and then I'm going to intending to cut the whole way across to Salerno, just below Naples, but it's a 2.5 hour drive, and I'll see how I feel in the road. I might decide halfway to find somewhere to stay. So my normal day, I get up around 8:30, just happen to wake in maybe about 8 and lie, mess with the dogs and stuff, and then I get up and I'll have a coffee and have a look at my emails and the news, and generally about 10 o'clock I'm ready to go if I'm going to go, and tidy up and set off. Now before I set off, if I'm going to be driving, if I'm trying to aim to get somewhere eventually of a distance, I will look at the Google Maps and pick a general area, and then use my app within that area to see any places for stopping. That's how I found here. Then drive, bring it out again in that area and pick one. And I usually end up going to 1 or 2 or maybe 3 sometimes. This was great because I drove here, first one really good, but quite a lot often the ones you go to just wouldn't like to stay there. So the other one is if I'm going somewhere where I want to stay for a couple of days, then I'm looking for a campsite. And I'll be more specific then. I'll try and choose the campsite that I'm going to drive to before I leave. So I made a mistake in Athens and didn't check properly. It was to do with internet and stuff, but I didn't find the right place, and I ended up with 3. So now what I do is I make sure that the campsite that I'm going to is decent quality, has everything I need, electricity, water, etc. Doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Don't want to pay too much. You can pay up to 30-40 euros. I want to pay 10 to 15. So check that out, make sure they're 100% open, and then I'll go straight to that place and find that straight. So that all depends, and today I'm in between both. So I've picked a campsite in Salerno that I would like to stay at, but I've also looked about halfway across for stop-offs just like this in case I decide not to go the whole way. So there you go, that's how my day, that's how the wee brain thinks. The dogs, I'm going to take them down now to the beach because they never get into the water yesterday. They had no fun because of that weather, and then I'm going to set off. The place that I had pointed out last night, next, with the wee sort of, look like gypsies caravans. I think that's what they're designed to look like, but it's obviously a holiday place, and I've noticed loads of activity there. So that's them now cleaning up, preparing for opening. A lot of places open towards the end of March, which is a good sign for regard to weather and activity. I'm really looking forward to seeing loads of people on holiday, etc. Because, as I've said a few times, when you're driving through places that are all basically closed down for the winter, it becomes a bit monotonous. And I mean, whenever I go to places like Thailand, I love the touristy places. It's just the way I am. I like to go and see castles and cultural places, but I like to mix that in with lots of activity and people having a good time. So whenever I'm setting off, a few things I have to do. First of all, Buster has to get into position. That's where he always starts off, but he always ends up beside Molly here. But I'm going to the phone shop, but you have to think, because the van's so big, you have to think about where you're going to park before you go. So that's, first of all, that brings me to a car park and then to the shop. So you can't just go, because as you've seen in a few of my videos, I've ended up in some really tight places. Even getting into this town now, you don't know what it's going to be like, and the plan might change. Find somewhere to park. If it's everything looks too narrow, I'll just go and find somewhere else to park. So you have to think ahead all the time. You know, before the days of Google Maps and apps that help you, that must have been so hard on this sort of journey. I'm getting in now to a car park and to walk to a shop that I know exactly where it is now, or I'm going to be stepped all the way. But you just didn't have that a few years ago. Maybe it would have been better, maybe it would have been more exciting, but certainly the way I think, you know, I love that everything this is being made handy, because these are the hassly things that you have to do, and technology makes it easy. First part achieved. That wee town wasn't too bad to drive through. So now, on foot, go and find the phone shop. Even now that I'm going to leave the van, I have a bit of work to do, because everything I have's in here, including the dogs. So steering lock goes on, lock the doors from here. I go out that door and lock it, then I have another safety lock that I put on. And I'm actually thinking of getting some more security, because security is a thing that's always in the back of my mind. You know, I don't like leaving the van for too long. It's not too bad in a car park like this, but some of those secluded places where I'm at beaches and stuff like that, I'd be quite conscious of the van sitting there somewhere where maybe with no one around. You can hear the dogs barking there, so that's every time. So I put up the shutters as well. They tend to calm down a lot quicker, not drive everybody mad.
A few moments later.
Da-da-da. Here we are.
More moments later.
Fantastic. €65, and I've said this before and it tripped up, but an amazing deal. I was told, or I read, that Italy was quite cheap for data, for internet. 150 gig, which would do me a month easily, for €13.95 plus £10 for the SIM card, so 14 or €24, which is amazing if that's how it turns out to be. But I got a text from them saying that, so should be this time. Fantastic. Back to the van, which is a good bit away. Fortuitously, the car park that I parked in happens to be a supermarket. Take advantage and go and get bits and pieces that I need. Sorry I've brought you into a supermarket. I never intended in making supermarket videos. But I mentioned in an earlier video that I couldn't get peppered sauce and I couldn't get garlic butter. But as it turns out, there's a lot of stuff I can't get. And for me, a very fussy eater, it makes it a bit more difficult. So every shop I go into, the first thing I do is go and look for my garlic butter, go and look for my peppered sauce. But also, can't get baked beans, can't get soup, no soup, tomato soup, chicken soup, can't get it. Lamb, can't get lamb. Haven't seen lamb anywhere, although I shouldn't really eat lamb. I'd love to be a vegetarian, but I'm such a bad eater I think it would kill me. I don't eat most vegetables. Can't eat onions, can't eat anything to do with onions, and it sort of stifles your choices. So I'm really having to adapt. But I do go looking for all those things every time. So, modem bought, on charge, food bought, in cupboards and fridge, time for the drive. Hope the weather keeps up, beautiful day, blue skies, nice and warm. Everyone's still wearing big coats except for me. Whenever I went out there I actually had like my sandals things on. And I think people think you're not wise. Now, before we go, we've got a thinking to do again. Need to get my sat nav set on my phone, get my music on that. I haven't mentioned this before, but I'm music mad. I can't drive without the music. I have Spotify, and I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs in my playlist, and I start at the beginning and work right through it. And if you ever see me driving along, you'll notice I'm always singing, so I love to sing along to the music. But you can't let the music be heard in your YouTube channel because it's copyright, you're not allowed. So, but I'll have my music set, ready to go, and just get down to the adventure of the driving. I've just decided to try another app instead of Google Maps. So this is called...
Take the first exit at the roundabout.
No, that's not it. This is called Here. So I'm going to give it a go, see how things go. Everywhere you go that I've been so far in Italy, they have these great wee laybys. They're just wee short laybys. I'm halfway through it here, of all the roads, and you can just pull over if you need to for whatever on this sort of road, and it's brilliant. I've been driving along beside this pipeline now for quite a few miles, and it's massive. It must be 10 foot in diameter. Ah, there's a dam. Ah, there's a lake. All explained now. Before I set off, I think the driving was the thing at least was looking forward to, and I imagined beautiful evenings and beaches and sunsets and all that sort of stuff, which you do get, but as it's turned out I quite enjoy the driving. You're not in a hurry, you're not going anywhere. I mean, 90% of the time I plan where I'm going to go to and don't get to there, don't get that far. If you feel like stopping, you can just stop. So it's a nice feeling, except for in the cities. You know, you drive into town, especially in Italy I've found, and you can get into bother really, really easily. The streets tend to be so narrow, and Google doesn't tell you, it doesn't say you're coming to bad roads or narrow streets or tolls. And with me not being a city person anyway, it definitely makes me more inclined to avoid cities. She's not going to come on out there, Rebecca, is she? Of course she is. So I drove to the area where I had marked the campsites and things, and it's completely built up. It's a city, and I'm struggling to get through streets and where to park, and drove the whole way down there, parked for night, spot up there, it advised you to great big car park, tons around and went up and down. It's a buzzing, busy car park. So I've parked up at the side of the road and I'm going to get the computer going, and I think I'll head out. I don't even know what city I'm in, but I'll head out of the city probably, or could just stay here for the night. No, it'd be too noisy. We'll see, I'll let you know. So I thought I'd come down to the beach and figure out what I'm going to do next. Molly's just pulling the arm out of me. Molly, empty beach up ahead. Yeah, so I sort of have decided. I didn't realise these places were in a town or city. So I'm going to try and get further up the coast and find a normal sort of place, wee quiet place somewhere. By the way, a stealthy camper is just a van, smaller than a motorhome, and you can't really tell most of the time that it's a camper van. Which means, really, you can park in the street, close your curtains, and nobody knows you're there. Circus! A long day to do 150 miles. I've ended up coming away back out of that city, which I will look up and put the name at the bottom of the screen, and I have found this big empty car park, which is part of Decathlon, and I think this is going to do us for the night. So there you go, showing you most of what goes on. It's not like sitting at your bum at home. You're just always doing stuff, you're always on the go, you're always figuring stuff out and fixing things. And tomorrow I'm hoping to go to Pompei and Mount Vesuvius and then head on up. Purposely headed over to Naples, but that sort of last few hours there has made me, as usual, feel like I'm not going to bother with the city. I'll go through Naples probably just and head straight through and on up the coast. I'm definitely not a city person, there's no doubt about that. So, I'll leave it off there. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, love you to subscribe, and I'd love to hear your comments. But until next time, bye for now.